Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome back to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents, and it's West versus East London this week. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Chelsea correspondent. Even it's Gary Mantle. I nearly called you Carry Mantle, Gary. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. I'm trying not to be too smug with a guy whose team's looking like it's about to be relegated, and I'm hoping Chris offers you the same favour as well.
I just,
Oh, I like that. I like
I
that.
just said to Gary off camera, "Oh, yep, you win Saturday. It's one of the lowest points of my life." Our West Ham correspondent Chris Stone's in. He's trying to chase Tottenham amongst others. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good. Better than I was probably a few weeks ago, at least. Anyway, so
I would
it's the hope
say
that
good.
kills you, though.
I'd say good stuff, but I don't actually mean it at the
No.
moment. But well done, my friend. We will discuss. Gary, we spoke to you not too long ago, obviously, following Enzo Maresca's departure. And I think at the time, we were pretty certain it was going to be Liam Rosenior, obviously, as it is. What's the early impressions on the new manager?
It's pretty similar to the old manager, as far as I can tell. Like nothing, no, there's nothing drastic has happened. I suppose the best thing that I can say is that people aren't looking at it too negatively at the moment. Well, certainly not looking at him too negatively. There's still a lot of sentiment against the board, specifically at Barley, but Senior's like he's done all right. Yesterday was good. Paphos was just one of those games that you've got all of the ball. It's difficult to do stuff with it, isn't it? When it's that much of a low block, and eventually we found a goal, which is good because this might be different if we hadn't beaten them. But it's been all right. It's nothing like groundbreaking, but it's nothing too bad either.
Gary's already kind of given a spoiler there. We are pre-recording on Monday night, so I presume Rosenior will do a press conference on Tuesday night in Naples. Might give us a little bit more in terms of team news. How important is that Wednesday to try and get over the line? Obviously, you're in eighth position, but in this unusual position where you might win and yet drop out the top eight.
Yeah, I think all we can do is just hope that if we do win, that that's enough, and if it's not, then so be it. I don't think we need to go and try and score loads of goals and hope that it's the goal difference. Just try and get the win. If the win's not enough, then it's not enough. My thoughts going into the game at Palace was that we would look at the Napoli game as being more important, and I think that was why I didn't have Palmer in my starting 11. And I think if it had been we thought that that was the more important game at the weekend, I think they might have tried to make him play. So I think they're probably looking at it in the same way. It would be massive for us to go down and get a win, even if it's not enough. It'd just be big for Rosenior. But yeah, I don't know if it will happen because we've never seen him manage an away game in the Champions League before.
Yeah, I've seen Antonio Conte teams try and manage 3 games a week, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Um, he, I've never seen him do it successfully, but
No, me
I've
neither. Funnily
certainly seen
enough.
him. Certainly, yeah, certainly seen him try to do it. I don't. I mean, it's like it's a very, very difficult place to go, isn't it? Napoli. Like,
And
if their
they're on the
fans are
verge
up
of
for it, then
elimination as well. They're
this is
they're
it
they're
exactly.
out
So
if they lose, basically. So
that's it.
yeah.
The most likely outcome is that we end up in the playoffs, isn't it? Realistically.
How much of a boost would it be to fantasy managers who want to invest in Chelsea for you to finish in those top eight positions to give you those two free midweeks?
I think it'd be a huge boost, to be honest. Um, I'm kind of worried for fantasy about our assets if we don't finish in the top eight, and I don't think we will finish in the top eight. So uh, we'll obviously come on to it, but I think there's going to be a lot of rotation. I think there's going to be a lot of risk with a lot of Chelsea players.
We will try and predict the unpredictable in a little bit. Chris, you must be delighted with the 2 wins, Tottenham and Sunderland.
Yeah,
I mean, they had to happen, didn't they? I mean, if you think about it now, if you'd lost those 2 games, you'd be 11 points adrift. We'd
yeah.
be
That
having a really concerning conversation.
it would be fully game over if that had happened. I mean, I think the Tottenham result is quite pivotal because it's probably it wasn't as good, I don't think, as the Sunderland game in terms of how we played, but it was for that game. It was the victory, and that was enough. That kind of can give you that spark. Um,
It's more than just 3 points, isn't it? Like for
yeah,
the fans and
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. So it's that extra element to it. It's that gives everyone a little bit of a feel good factor. I don't think anyone was under any illusions. They weren't suddenly thinking we were gonna you know we suddenly turned it around, but then we did play really well against Sunderland. Take it in context that they've not been very good away, have they? But they were a tough team. It wasn't wouldn't say it was easy. The scoreline was fair, but it wasn't easy because they just don't stop.
It's only one person on this podcast saying their team beat Sunderland at home this year, mate. So it's
Really?
about the only dig I can get in on you, Gary. So I'm just going to leave it there, mate. We got one more point, and yeah. But did that make the Forest winning at Brentford? Does that kind of a bit galling on Sunday? You think we're really close again, and then
It's
they
a bit
pulled away and won an away game against a team that only lost once at home this season.
Yeah, I mean it's a bit frustrating, but I think all we can do is get some wins, and if we do that, I think there'll be a team out of sort of three or four that will get suckered into it. I think there's always, well, not always, but there's quite often a team, isn't there, that are seemingly safe.
Thanks for
And
reminding me.
then
Continue.
no, I think you're pretty kind of fully aware of it.
We're
I
not
guess
having that conversation now. Talk about West Ham.
but for the moment, I don't think you're quite there yet. I think your fan base is pretty aware that of the predicament you're in. Um, but yeah, I think if we can carry on that level of performance, um, then hopefully we can pick up a few results. I do feel we blew it. We did blow it a little bit. We had a nice 4-game fixture over Christmas, and that really that's the frustrating bit. But you've got to move on from it, really. Um,
It kind of feels like that happened before because you had a 4-game run earlier in the season. That started
yeah,
really horrendously with 2 awful performances against Leeds and Brentford that was then recovered with victories against Newcastle and Burnley that
yeah.
then kind of carried a bit of momentum. And it's the same here for you not to have won any of those 4 games that had gone over Christmas, but then to win the Tottenham Sunderland games moving forward has obviously kept you still within a chance. What's changed over these 2 games, Chris, if anything?
Um, it's difficult to say because there's nothing. I mean, there's a few. There's obviously signed the 2 forwards, so that's made a difference. Not that they've contributed in terms of scoring the goals and that kind of thing, but their work rate is very good. Um, it's probably, if anything, it's probably relieved a little bit of pressure off Bowen. Um, I mean, he was sort of credit to him really. He's kept going, but the last couple of games and certainly on Saturday, he was playing very wide on the right, so he was holding that position out wide. So he was holding that, giving us that width. So he's kind of gone from sort of probably being a quite more of a central focus for goals and the attack. He's still attacking, but he's changed maybe what he's doing, and he was obviously very effective on Saturday. The 2 guys, Pablo's not he's not got much about him in terms of skill, but he gets stuck in. He makes it difficult to defenders, and it sounds really stupid because that you should expect that as a minimum, but we've just not. I think the major difference is the effort level. There was more than one player or 2 players, and I think where you've got a few players doing it, like Tati up front runs around and he kind of puts the back four under pressure, doesn't give them time. Other players then, and you got Fernandes putting in tackles. That kind of it's kind of infectious. Other players start doing it, and that's probably one of the most noticeable things. There's a little bit more organisation as well because you can see in a couple of the corners and even from the goal kicks, they're obviously doing certain things. Nothing amazing, but it's just everything just seems a little bit more organised. So maybe it's just starting to come together there with whatever they're doing there.
Okay. What's the objective this season now, Gary? We spoke last time about kind of an ambition for Chelsea prior to Maresca leaving of getting towards the end of the season, being in a position to have a real stab at the title next year. What's the expectation now? Where do you want to be sitting in May? Has it got to end with a trophy? Has it got to end with Champions League football? What's an objective for you?
I think it has to end with Champions League football. Not sure about a trophy necessarily. I suppose it depends on how it goes. It might be one of those seasons where the FA Cup just opens up somehow, and then if you blow it, then you look stupid. But it might be one where it's the semi-finalists are the top 4 again, like in the Carabao, and it's like, all right, well, if you don't win it, then fair enough. I think the main thing is probably top 5. We need to re-establish ourselves as a consistent Champions League club. I think that's got to be the main objective at the moment. I do think what we should be building towards, whether it's as you'd said, like I was hoping it was going to be next year, but maybe a year after, is actually challenging for the title. And you need to at least start by finishing top 5 to do that, I think. So yeah, we don't want to go back to Thursday night football if we can help it.
I'd love to have a bit of Thursday night football next year. I might do. I don't know. Do Sky show Championship games on Thursday nights or not quite
Get more
sure.
games
Okay, West
back.
Ham Tottenham's a certainty for a Monday night next
Yeah.
year, isn't it, Chris? How do you view it, Gary? Is it like Villa will be in the top 5, or do you still view them as catchable?
I'd say they are still catchable. Doesn't mean I think we're going to catch them, but it's just anything can happen, can't it? Teams can just go on a little bit of a bad run. I can't even remember how many points we are behind them because I've sort of stopped looking up at the top 3 at this stage because we're too far off. But you never know. Sometimes teams do just fall away. In the same way that you don't, right at the start of the season, you wouldn't have said that this is where they would be. They were like, I can't remember what their record was, but after the first few games, it wasn't good anyway, was it? And then out of nowhere they went here. So anyone's capable in the same way that we're also capable of losing a few on the spin and then suddenly you drop down the table. So they're
You're nine.
catchable. But
Yeah, I mean, you can
yeah.
spin that the other way with Villa, can't you? You can say if they didn't start so bloody badly, they genuinely would be top of the league at the moment.
Yeah.
You're 9 points behind them, 1 point behind Manchester United, one clear of Liverpool. Does it
So
feel like that's the
yeah,
group
that's
you're
what
in,
it
really?
is. I think it's right now you'd have to say it's like it's 2 of those 3, which I'm sure that'll piss off fans of other clubs that are like 7th, 8th, 9th or whatever. But
But there's
and I know
so
they're quite
many.
close. They are
There's
quite close.
there's so many are so close. We're recording prior to Everton Leeds on Monday night, but I mean, if Everton have won that, they're only 2 points behind you. Like it is all really bunched
But
up.
yeah, I just assume based on the pedigree of those 3 sides that they will have enough to be more used to challenging for these positions at the top of the table. So I feel like it'll be 2 from those 3.
I agree with you. How do you feel about Cole Palmer at the moment?
Um, as in just in general for FPL, like whatever's
As
in
as a
his importance to
fan, first
Chelsea.
and foremost, remove fantasy for the moment. As a fan,
Hmm.
knowing that this problem's been ongoing for months now, are you of a position where you want it dealt with, or is it keep resting him and saving him for bigger games? What do you want as a fan?
So what they'd said was prior to the Paphos game, they said it was something in his thigh, which is different to the previous injury, but I don't know if it is related in some way. But we know that he's not been fully fit, and he did have quite a long layoff. Whether that was enough or not, I mean, what I want is Cole Palmer to get back to his best because, like, in reality, he's been nowhere near his best. Like, forget whether, like, oh yeah, whether he needs to be playing in this position or that position or whatever. He hasn't really played very well. He's shown glimpses, but this is nothing compared to what he was for the first like 18 months that he broke into the team. So we're still every time we're watching him is hoping that we're going to see that again, but we haven't actually seen it pretty much most of last year. Just games like PSG in the Club World Cup final and a couple of others, like Conference League final and everything, but certainly not on the consistent basis that he was showing it before. So yeah, I want him to get back to where he was sort of 12 months ago.
Difficult to say now, but do you think he'll go to the World Cup?
Well, he never turns up for England. Like, as in, he literally, like, he gets called up to the squad and he never goes. It's not as in he plays badly. He doesn't go along with the squad. So right now, if I'm Tuchel, I would be looking probably at not taking him
He's
because
not short of
he's
alternatives, is he? As
well,
well,
exactly. And this
as
is
good as he
why,
is.
but this is also why he never got in the team in the first place because we were like, he's been one of the best players in the league. And I'm like, yeah. And even for me, with my Chelsea bias, I'm like, yeah, but so is Saka, and he plays in Saka's position. And Bellingham was like the big game player that's scoring the goals, and that's kind of where he wants to play. It's like either as the 10 or like sort of on the right. So he's not getting in, and then other players are like even Jarrod Bowen, for example, who plays in like a similar position, he might make his case, and if Palmer carries on as he has been, then why would you take him? What, just hoping that he's going to?
Don't upset Villa fans again. Please mention Morgan Rogers, Gary.
Yeah, well, but yeah, but he's another one, isn't he? Yeah, he plays in the 10. I'm looking at if Palmer was sort of playing on the right because we haven't really seen him much as a 10 for England, but I mean we haven't seen him much at all for England, and that's part of the point. And yeah, we do have loads of options. If there's some of them are more willing to turn up for the friendlies and everything that he isn't because he's been injured, then why would you take him?
So I mean, at his age, there has to be a concern that this isn't going to get sorted. It's going to get prolonged. Yeah, I'm okay. I can play. We had a similar circumstance actually happen with Adam Wharton last year at Crystal Palace. Eventually, he did have an operation.
Mm.
If I said to you now, right, he's going under the knife, but he's going to miss the rest of this season. But there's every ambition to get him absolutely right for pre-season. Would you be happier with that than what the current circumstances?
If we knew that that was going to get him right, and that was like pretty much the way to get him right, then yeah, absolutely. Like I think the other problem that he might have found is obviously he came through at City, like had minutes here and there, and then he came to Chelsea and it's like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. And suddenly he's in the first team and he plays all the time. At the end of that season was the Euros, and he was at the Euros for England. Then we come back, he plays the full season for Chelsea, and then there's the Club World Cup, and then he starts the season again. So it's like, when's he ever had his break? Like this is the longest time that he's had out of a team since he first broke into the Chelsea team 2.5 years ago. So I think he needed the refresh for many reasons, and probably mental as much as anything. But with this injury, if it is still there and if it's still causing the problems, then I, I, I don't think our season, the way that it's gone, is hinging on whether he plays for us or not play for us because we've got pretty used to not playing with him now.
Hypothetical scenario: you go to Naples, you win by a couple of goals. Palmer gets a couple of goals. You know what that's going to stir up in the fantasy community.
Mm,
What would you say
yeah,
to people under
I
that
say,
scenario? Something like that happens on Wednesday night because these four fixtures is pretty much the best 4 game run that anyone will have all season. West Ham at
mm,
home, Wolves away, Leeds at home, Burnley at home. We want to invest in Chelsea, and quite naturally, we want to invest in the man that's done so well for us previously. But it feels like we can't, can we, Gary? Even if he did have a good night in Naples, I'd almost be looking at it and thinking, is he now going to get saved for Arsenal on Tuesday and skip West
well,
Ham? Like, is it
exactly.
that?
That is what's going to happen. Which game is the sort of more important, the one that we have to make sure that we win. Like if we don't win at Arsenal, then we're out. So we want to go there and win. If he is carrying an issue, then even from Napoli to Arsenal is only 6 days because it's Tuesday against Arsenal and it's Wednesday in Napoli. So yeah, I don't think they'd play him against
Do you
West Ham.
expect Rosenior to pick whatever he believes is his strongest team at Arsenal? Is there any kind of half measure on that, do you think?
I don't think there's any kind of half measure unless maybe with the goalkeeper. I don't know how inclined he is with that, but we do see that with a lot of managers. Like Arsenal will probably still play Kepa. But other than that, I think no, I think he'll pick his strongest available team. With that said, one thing that we should say with Palmer is that we know that there was an issue under Maresca to do with the medical department and Palmer and like you can only play him for X amount of minutes and all of this because this was the day that it all like blew up and the fans were chanting it against Bournemouth and then Maresca doesn't do his press conference afterwards because he's so annoyed and all of this. So there's clearly some sort of breakdown there. So if Rosenior knows that that's happened, he's not then going to come in and do exactly the same thing with the medical department, is he? So if they're saying to him, no, he can only play like a maximum of 30 minutes, he's not going to go, no, I'm going to give him 70. Yeah, they've appointed him on the premise essentially that he doesn't do that kind of thing, that he does work better with the people in other departments than Maresca did. So
So, for
no, I think
clarity, for those who maybe hadn't heard the podcast you and I did a few weeks ago, we're essentially saying here that the medical team will have a large influence on team selection moving forward.
so that is, yeah, because that's what we are led to believe was part of the problem with Maresca. So Rosinia's going to know
So,
that.
a different
They know that.
example, I would guess you would want Reece James to play in Naples, would be my guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
He's,
mean, Reece is one of our most experienced players.
but they've taken really good care of him recently to get him
Yeah.
in a position where he's regularly available for you rather than keep breaking down. He's
Hmm.
not then going to play West Ham and Arsenal straight afterwards if he plays in Naples, is he?
No, no, he's not. Um, it would be a third start in a week for Reece, which he has done before, and he also got taken off at halftime in the first game when that happened earlier in the season as well. So he got taken off at halftime against Paphos. He was playing in midfield with Caicedo. We didn't need two midfielders. They weren't coming at us in the slightest, so it was just a waste. Um, I wasn't sure that he'd start at Palace, but he did. Um, he'll still have enough, I think, to start in Naples, but can't see how he starts at West Ham after that.
So we're leaning here to Malagusto being the fantasy choice. Maybe we'll get there. I want to ask you about your number 10, Chris, Lucas Paquetá. Presume at time of recording that he's leaving the football club and going back to Flamengo, we think, in Brazil. Suj has been in my ear about wanting to push him out the door for a while. He does also feel like he's come out of the team and you've had a few good results. Is this the best thing for everybody that you just kind of part ways now?
It probably is. I mean, it's, there was a little bit of a worrying sort of develop. So strange thing to say, but worrying development at the weekend that we were going to have him loaned back to us to the end of the season because Nuno obviously likes him, sees him as an important player. But he's, yeah, I mean, probably on the same sort of page as Such really, in that as much as good a player he is, he doesn't produce it, and he's probably a negative because he can have a really bad game and just not turn up, and you could do that for 4 or 5 games, and you can't really afford that. Not in this situation. I think it's also helped Fernandes. It's given him a little bit more responsibility, and he seems to be getting a bit more space because of it and a bit more freedom to do what he wants. So that helps. So yeah, I think it's the best thing all round. I think it's probably going to happen in the next either today or tomorrow. I think it's just finalising the details now.
Are you expecting to be busy before Monday's deadline or not?
Yeah, I think there'll be. We seem to be linked with quite a few centre backs. Um, none of them I've really heard of, but that's not a bad thing. Um, but
Yeah,
I think we
sometimes
need.
it's the ones you have heard of that
Yeah,
can be problematic, Chris.
we need. We need someone in because Kilman's not. Yeah, Kilman's not well thought of by a lot of people. Although Nuno seems to want to play him. Because I don't know if you saw there was that little bit of a spat at the
We joked
weekends.
about it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I think it is it's a positive for everyone because it draws a line under the sand. It's best thing for Paqueta. It's best, in the situation, it's the best thing for us.
And Callum Wilson, I presume, is staying, is he?
Yeah, yeah. It's a bizarre situation, but from what I understand, it's sort of Sullivan's intervened there and kind of which is probably a sensible thing. At the end of the day, he's on a pay per play basis. It's probably not that ridiculous considering. But he can come on for 20 minutes, 25 minutes and do a job. Causes a few problems, might get the odd goal. Any goal at this stage is priceless. So, even if he gets us 3 or 4 goals by the end of the season, those could be valuable. Obviously, the Tottenham one. Sorry to mention it, but
I
um,
knew it was coming.
but I mean, obviously that someone like him, he could have 2 weeks ago, he might not have even been there.
Well,
Um,
I didn't think I was hoping it was going to be an ineligible result because he'd left you and wasn't actually registered, Chris, because we didn't even know he was still your player. We thought he'd been thrown out. It was quite a strange
yeah,
one.
but there was kind of he wanted to end the contract, so it wasn't all West Ham and it wasn't all him. There was kind of I think between Nuno and him, it was a feeling he wasn't going to get much game time, so it was the best thing all round for him personally. But yeah, I think it's a positive. It's a positive to have him because he's scored a few goals for us. I think he scored 4 goals. He's probably about third highest scorer. That's how bad we
For
are.
FPL forwards, just behind Jarrod
Yeah.
Bowen, maybe. Do you look at Saturday at Chelsea as a free swing? Or are
Um,
you looking at going, Forest got Palace at home? They're not in great form. Could be another result for them. Like, do you feel like you need to go to Stamford Bridge and get something? Or do you, okay, they're significantly of better quality. We'll take a free swing at it. How are you viewing it?
I think we need to put in a performance and a good performance, similar to what we did against Sunderland. And I wouldn't say the result will take care of itself, but we are playing Chelsea, who are an infinitely better team. Um, with good players. The I know obviously Gary's kind of talked about it with obviously the games that have got coming up. The only plus for us is that it's the easiest out of the next three, isn't it? That Chelsea have got between Napoli and Arsenal. So 2 or 3 players might be missing. Yes, they've got a lot of other players that can come in, and they've been doing that all season. So it's not unusual for them. But yeah, it's more hope than anything. But if we can put in a performance and then hope, it would be nice if we could get a point. That'd be good for everyone. But I think the performance is key.
Okay. It's an interesting point Chris makes there, Gary. I guess to strip this back in terms of fitting towards fantasy, first question. For the Napoli, West Ham, Arsenal games, and without you knowing what Liam Rosenior is obviously going to say in his presser on Tuesday, name everybody that you think would start all three games.
Caicedo, Enzo. Um, until see, I would have maybe said Neto, but actually, I don't think he will. To be honest, he's not played that well. And Jorgensen's currently potentially injured, so maybe Sanchez. And the only other one, yeah, I don't know. Because like Cucurella maybe, Chalobah maybe. I'd said last week when we played Paphos, oh yeah, they're both nailed to start, and neither of them started. So could
So I
easily
think
see them not playing against West Ham.
Chalobah's the one pick would have been waiting for you to. He is going to say Chalobah, isn't he? I could probably fill that myself. He's 5.6. He's been amazing on DEFCONs recently.
Hmm.
That's continued under Rosenior. You do have a habit of conceding the odd goal like you did at Palace on Sunday, but he's ticking over really nicely. He kind of does offer value for 5.6 to the extent it doesn't really feel like there's much choice to look at the other centre backs for fantasy, is there, Gary?
Oh, there's definitely
This is the only one for minutes, isn't it? From the centre backs.
100% you can't look at any of the other centre backs. No, it's only whether he's going to, and he is going to get enough minutes. It's just, I was very surprised that he didn't play at home to Paphos because Fofana and Badiashile can generally each play one game a week, and they both played. Now, they really didn't have to do much, but Fofana was obviously out of team again against Palace, and Badiashile played. So I'd be amazed if it isn't Fofana and Chalobah that play in Naples. And I'd be amazed if it isn't Fofana and Chalobah that play at Arsenal. So it should be Badiashile and Chalobah that play against West Ham. But
It could be Badia showing a champion, right?
Nachiampong should play at some point. I don't know why he never gets any minutes. Every manager, well, I say every manager, both Maresca and Rosenior are like, oh yeah, he needs to get more minutes. Well, you're the fucking manager. Why don't you start picking him? And they keep going, oh yeah, I should give him more minutes. It's like, when's that going to happen then? So I don't know. I think Chalobah probably will play against West Ham, but I did get burnt with this last week. Whereas Cucurella, I could quite easily see Hato playing because Hato's actually played pretty well under Rosenior, whereas he looked completely lost under Maresca.
So Cucurella would be a no-go for you at 6.
I wouldn't, no, because that's it. You're paying more as well. He was like getting quite advanced at Palace, but there is just a risk that he doesn't play or at least doesn't start. Um, it's I, he Rosenior does seem to like Hato, so I think it's too much of a risk.
Okay. After the semi-final against Arsenal, obviously you've got the 2 league games follow that in quick succession. It's Wolves away Saturday, Leeds at home Tuesday, and then obviously you've got an FA Cup game on a Friday, actually. The Burnley game would sit in between the playoff games in the Champions League if you don't finish top 8. This is murder trying to think that any Chelsea player is going to start these 4 league games, isn't it? Especially if you don't finish in that top 8 position.
That's right, and that includes Chalobah. As I just said, I was very surprised that he didn't start last week against Paphos. We know that Tosin is out, so we've only got 4. We know that 2 of them can only play once a week. And he played them together. And I said I didn't think he'd ever play them together because then you lose them both for the next game. And so, yeah, that's it. Chalobah's the most likely, but I assume out of all the games you mentioned, Hull would be the one when Achiampong plays, but it doesn't mean to say that he's not going to play any other games as well. Especially as it said, we've got Saturday, Tuesday, Wolves, Leeds. Is
I think my
Fofana just going to be
viewpoint
the
would
midweek
be
man?
if you finish top 8, is there a
Hmm.
scenario where Chalobah could play all of the games, say up till the whole game, and not play the whole game? That feels like a possibility, and I think Caicedo and maybe Enzo Fernandez possibly fall into that line as well. But if you end up finishing outside that top 8, the only break really, you go, yeah, none of them are playing at Hull, but
Yeah.
otherwise, are they going to play Burnley at home? I mean, part depends who you draw in the in the Champions League, right? I mean, as it stands now, you could end up with something like Napoli again in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if it does depend because I don't think you want to take a chance. I mean,
Well, no,
you
away leg would
look,
be over first. It's probably more if you had a really good away first leg result, then okay, maybe
that's it.
rotate for the second one.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
by which point you probably, I think the way it works now, like I'm sure Rosenior will know in his mind now what team he wants to play against West Ham before the Napoli game even happens. He'll have that in his mind, I think. I don't think he's going to be reactive and go, this, some managers say, well, we'll see what bodies we've got available. I think
Yeah.
there'll be a strategic plan of that's the intention for Saturday, that's the intention for Tuesday. Obviously, players can get injured and stuff and plans will change. But I think he'll have an idea of what he wants to do for
But
these
he'll
games in
know what
close
he wants to do
proximity.
Saturday based on what he wants to do this Wednesday and next Tuesday. Like that's the priority is those two games. And then, right, what can I do around that? Like he's not going to prioritize the West Ham game.
What Chelsea you got at the moment, Gary?
Just Enzo.
You're happy with that, I presume, just to run for this period.
As in,
You're keeping him. There's no thoughts
well, I'm
of
definitely keeping
concern.
him. No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, as in, no, I've got no concern. I don't think we've got another player that does what he does. I don't think anybody links our defense and attack in the way that he does. And I don't think we can move anybody around positionally because the only one that people had thought was Andre Santos because he used to do this at Strasbourg and he was getting forward and getting a few goals. But I did see that Rosenior had compared him to Dunga, the old Brazilian player. He said, and that he's not like that Brazilian in what he does, kind of thing. It's like, well, Dunga was very much a defensive midfielder, and that's where Santos has played for Chelsea. So I don't think
Yeah.
he's got a plan to interchange him with Enzo. I think Enzo's just going to play. I think he's going to start the majority of the games, and he'll come off every now and then. But I think he's pretty much nailed. And Santos is good, but you can't take Caicedo out of the team. He's much
Is
better.
Enzo a better asset without Palmer?
Yeah, much better because he needs to fill in that gap. Um, but obviously, yeah, we used to get. I mean, part of the reason I say that is because we used to get Palmer supplying Enzo, but I just don't think Palmer's really been doing it. To be honest, I don't think the creativity has been there. It used to be like all over the chances created, big chances, all of that. It's just not really seen it as much. I don't know if he would necessarily get forward because quite often it's actually the left back that's bombing on. Maresca used to do that as well sometimes. It was like Cucurella was getting further ahead than Enzo, particularly if Palmer is playing in the 10 and Enzo's had to play a bit deeper, then he doesn't necessarily get him to be the one that's like joining the attack. And also, obviously, if Palmer's not playing, then Enzo's the one on penalties.
If you didn't own Enzo, would you be compelled to be trying to get him in, do you think?
I don't think I'd force it, but if I was looking at it and going, right, I want to buy a Chelsea asset, I think he's the one to go for.
So if you're comparing him with, say, Morgan Rogers,
Rodgers is a bit more attacking, but I think, yeah, with these fixtures, I'd probably still be looking at Enzo.
Declan
But
Rice,
if you're then going to say, well, see, they're two different. I mean, I've got both of them, but Rice, you can just plug him and just leave him for the rest of the season. It's like you know what you're going to get. To be fair, you could probably do that with Enzo as well.
yeah,
He's not bad. He's like they're not that expensive. I think if you were going up a level, then like someone like Bruno Fernandes is a better asset than Enzo Fernandez, I think. But I think Enzo's like absolutely fine just to leave him there. That's what I did. I'd like brought him in after City, so it's like our fixtures were it was like the Fulham away and stuff. They hadn't started like the good fixtures, but he's all right to just to put him there and see what happens. I don't think you're ever going to captain him because you it
no,
goes back to what
no,
you say
you
sometimes.
could with what we've got here anyway. I don't think it's necessary. He's the one I want
No,
to get, really, Gary. It's just a minute's bug. That's a concern. I might literally be going into a player that doesn't start this weekend. That's how it feels. So look, I'll make a decision after Napoli. I'm not going to make that decision beforehand. He's kind of top of the agenda for me. And I very nearly bought
yeah,
him last weekend with all the kind of pre-deadline stuff, and I want a bit more time to think about it. I'm just a bit nervous from the minutes perspective because I also know that if I get him, I may well get to game week 28 at the end of this 4 game week run. Look at you going to Arsenal away, Villa away, possibly having Champions League last 16 games around that period and going, I want to move this on quickly. And then I think if I'm not even getting 4 starts out of it, I should just leave it.
Yeah, I don't know that we've actually seen anything to suggest his minutes are under threat. Like that is a hypothetical going forward, but based on the historical, it hasn't really happened. He's come off early a couple of times. He came off pretty early at Fulham, actually. But I think that is how they choose to save
There's a
him.
red
But
card in that game. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we were playing with 10, weren't we? They he's also he's the vice captain as well, and we do quite like playing him just for leadership reasons because as has been told to us several times, we don't have a lot of leaders in the squad, and he is certainly one of the ones that we do have. So the managers do tend to like him.
So looking at all of his season, he didn't start at Nottingham Forest in game week 8, which was
Off the back
Ange's
of an international break.
infamous last game. Correct. Yeah. He then did play 90 minutes at Burnley after an international break, though, in game week 12.
I think he didn't go on that one. There was one that he didn't, or he came back early. There was one
If
that
I
he
remember correctly, he was left out because he had a bit of an injury problem,
Yeah.
and it was clear that he'd probably be back available. He didn't start at Newcastle in game week 17. He came in as a substitute early in the second half and had part impact in terms of your recovery from a bad first half in that particular game. As you said, went off 64 minutes into the game at Fulham in game at 21 when you had a very early red card to Mark Cucurella. Other than that, he's always over 80 minutes, basically. 78 minutes against Crystal Palace game week 1. So have I just got something psychological here that shouldn't be there from a minutes perspective?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's not to say that it shouldn't be there because I get it. I get why there
it's
would be
also
the concern, but we just haven't seen
because of
it
the
so
4
far.
games that you've got, these are the sort of games that you rotate in. It's not Brentford, Fulham, Palace, kind of awkward ones. You would look at them 4 games. You want 12 points from them 4 games, being realistic, right? 3 at home and Wolves away. That's probably what you're demanding. So these are the sort of fixtures are more liable for rotation. But looking through that, yeah, maybe I'm nervous for no reason.
I think so.
What have you got, Chris, on Chelsea assets at the moment?
I haven't got anyone says so, but I would be looking at Enzo, if I'm honest. Because of the Palmer situation, he's more likely to play, isn't he? Well, he's going to play more minutes either way because of it. And then when he's not, when Palmer's not on the pitch, he's on penalties. So that's always an appeal.
Are we sure about that, by the way, Gary? That if Palmer's unavailable, Enzo's on penalties? I know there was this stuff in the Fulham game earlier in the season. Felt like Enzo had kind of demanded that he wanted it.
Well, they were. So the only other one that you would think is Joao Pedro, and they were both on the pitch at Palace, and we were already 2-0 up at the time. It was a bullshit penalty for
Joao Pedro had scored in the game, though. Could there be any impact of that?
And he was the one that earned the penalty, but I don't know. But the fact is, Enzo took it.
Yep.
Enzo's the captain, and he said, I'm taking the penalty. And so far, every time it hasn't been Palmer, it's been Enzo. So.
Pedro Netto's only got 12 less points than him. And he's another one. Minutes are remarkably consistent, looking at Pedro Netto. Should we be overlooking him at slightly more expensive 7.1?
So when I came on with Mark before the Forest game, I said he plays all the time, but the returns haven't been there. And then he just went on a run where he was just getting goals, assists every week. And that ended probably about a month ago. In the last few games, I don't think we've had anything from him. And actually, I don't think he's been on it really for a while. That's why I said I would have said him to start against West Ham, but I'm not so sure. I think they'll probably look to take him out at some point, and he probably needs to. Because he just plays all the time. So that's why I think they'll stop playing him, which goes against what we just said about Enzo. But we do have a lot more options on the wings because we kept on buying wingers, as everybody knows. I would love him to start getting goals and assists again, but I can't recommend it at the moment.
So that's interesting because the 4 games that we're speaking about, the Burnley, West Ham, Leeds home games and Wolves away game, he scored against all 4 of those teams already this season.
Yeah. but I
There's
don't
a
know that he's
narrative
definitely
for
going
you
to
if you
be.
want one.
Yeah,
7, 9, 8,
that's
and
it.
6 pointers. The goal at Leeds was as a substitute. And that, by the way, in game week 14
No,
was
yeah,
his
he came
last
on at
goal.
half time, didn't he? Yeah, so that's it. So it ended like that is about a month ago, isn't it? There you
It's
go.
early December,
Paying
yeah.
attention, aren't I? Yeah. So if we'd been doing this podcast at the start of December, I'd be going, get him in because he just plays all the time. And now he's started to get goals and assists. And it might be, that, as you say, the fixture swing, the goals and assists start coming again. But
I mean, could he be a
with the
bit of a bully,
congestion,
though? I'm looking. Do you know the other team he
yeah, it
scored
could
against
be.
this year?
Uh,
Free kick.
d- we don't normally score free kicks. Oh, against Forest. Yeah,
Forest, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So he's scored against, I think I'm right in saying this, the bottom five at time of
yeah,
recording. So maybe he's a bit of
yeah.
a bully, Gal.
It might be, but again, he might be another one that just has to play 90 in Naples and he's going to start again at Arsenal. And they say, look, we've got to give him a rest at some point, and they do it against West Ham, even
Does
though
that
historically, again, that's not happened.
does that just make Esteval can't go there? Like it's
Can't
almost
go
like
there.
a
No, like this just keeps happening with our wingers because, like a couple of weeks ago, Garnacho scored, so then he gets a couple of games in the start and starts a couple of games, doesn't do anything, so he's out of the team, and then Esteval starts. Now he's scored, but he won't get the consistent minutes. Um, I wish I could say that he did because he looks so good. He's
mm.
like he's
Yeah,
and
I
all
thought he took that so well, and actually, his little pass for Joao Pedro on the second goal was beautiful as well.
yeah, and that's it. He was in the mood, wasn't he? But he'll be in and out of the team. Um, might turn out that he starts all four of these games. Who knows? But Maresca certainly tended to favour Garnacho more for the league games and Esteval more for Champions League games. But yeah, I just don't think we've seen the consistency of minutes to say that you want to go there. He has been ill recently, so he didn't play a couple of the games recently
Yeah,
because he was ill, because we had that bug that was going around. So it might be that Rosenior wants to play him all the time, but
it
I think all
feels
the
like
time is
to
a bit
me
of a
though,
stretch.
Neto is probably 3 and 4. I would say as the
Mm.
starter, kind of feels like across various competitions, and then you've got Esteval competing with like Garnacho, Gittins. Maybe that's
Yeah,
competing with Palmer at certain points as well.
well, that's the other thing. Exactly. I think it is my if Palmer's available to play in Naples, I think he plays in that Esteval position, and Esteval comes out of the side. But yeah, I think there is too much competition. As you say, yeah, Neto probably um, does play the most minutes. Esteval, yeah, like probably 2 and 4. Gittins is right at the bottom of all of that, and yeah, Garnacho's kind of in and out a bit.
So I think on midfielders we're saying Enzo's your top pick. It's fine.
Hmm.
Look, he could get rotated, but actually the minutes tell us it's normally okay. Neto has shown that he can return against these sort of sides. I think if you end up going there, that's a very short term pick, and you probably are looking to
Yeah,
move that into Wilson or Charde in 28 or something like that, maybe. Casado just briefly, because it was a thing early on in the season, and it's obviously
his
been
def bonds are
interrupted
dried
by
up, haven't they?
suspensions, and yeah, they have a bit, yeah.
I think he got 7 or something at the weekend. Like again, it does depend on like the opponent, but yeah, it's just
I
yeah.
mean, we say he's dried
But
up. In his games before that, 14, 14, 11, 14, 17. Dating. Those are his only games since the red card against Arsenal.
okay, fair enough. Maybe I was just basing it on this weekend, but if he is going to start playing him with Andre Santos, which I guess he's probably not for like some of these games, that's why he didn't. That's why he was nowhere near at the weekend because he had someone
Sharing the
next to him
burden,
doing the same
basically.
job. Exactly,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay.
Which we also started against Paphos with that. He was next to Reece James. So
So if I said
um,
to you buy Casado on Neto, just forget the money for the minute.
I'd buy Neto. It's a
Okay.
bit more chance of like the attacking returns, but
Okay.
yeah.
A couple of attacking returns at the weekend. I can't quit you, Joao Pedro. What do you want to say to people about this? Is this
Um,
Jackson all over again? Is it from a fantasy perspective?
I think people have been a bit harsh on him, to be honest, because like everyone like says he's a troll. I think he's done pretty much exactly what I'd expect a striker who doesn't take penalties to do, particularly one that was in his price bracket. He was 7.5. He was just below Bowen and Ekitike. He's got over 100 points now. If you'd like just kept him and left him, you'd have done all right. He's just under Bowen because um yeah, Bowen's like been firing a bit recently, but he's way ahead. I think what confuses people, maybe I'm wrong, but because Thiago's had such a good season, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin has performed like really well for his price, that then makes people look at other people go, oh, yeah, well, that means that he's crap and he's crap. It's like, well, it doesn't mean he's crap. He's done all right for his price. I thought he should have been a little bit higher, as we know. I thought he should have been bracketed with Bowen. He's got similar points to Bowen. He's got more than Ekitike, more than like Gyökeres and Isak. Obviously, Isak's injured and Gyökeres has been like in and out and whatever. But
Can I ask what forwards you've got at the moment?
the template three of Haaland, Thiago, and Ekitike, which was wonderful at the weekend, obviously.
So, I mean, Thiago's now got a few tough fixtures. Go to Villa this week, got Arsenal in a couple of weeks, and Ekitike has obviously not started at Bournemouth. Are you thinking of
Mm.
moving either of these to Joao Pedro?
No. See, also, if you are thinking of doing that, then at least wait until Wednesday because they are going to share minutes. Joao Pedro and Liam Delap are going to share. So if Joao Pedro starts again on Wednesday, then I can almost guarantee you that Liam Delap will start against West Ham on
So
Saturday.
that's how you see it.
Yeah,
Are we even
that's
are
what
we even
Rosenior's
sure
been
that
doing.
are we even sure that Joao Pedro is ahead of Delap in the pecking order? Are we
No,
even sure of that?
no, we're not because I think
Wow.
Rosenior does like to play with a nine. But then the weekend sort of suggested that he is.
Yeah.
Delap had then started the midweek before, but at the moment, I think
But if
I
Delap
haven't
started
checked
in
this, but I think they
Naples,
keep on.
you would maybe
Yeah,
change that opinion again, wouldn't you? Maybe.
I'd then tell you that Joao Pedro is probably going to start against West Ham. Yeah,
So then we'd
but I
think
think
maybe
they're
Delap.
always.
So by default, Joao Pedro might be good for a couple of league games because he's second choice. This is weird.
I don't know about that. No, yeah, this kind of thing could happen. Like the way that Rosenior sees it might be different to how I'm seeing it. But so the reason that I think he likes to start with a big nine is because the first two matches under Rosenior, we started Mark Gui, who just don't even think that he's going to be getting minutes. If these two are fit, Delap and Joao Pedro, it's those two. Gui's not. He's not an option. I think that they've always gone on and off for each other, Joao Pedro and Liam Delap. I think so. They're they're clearly sharing that position, and it will just come down to what Rosenior feels is preferable for that particular game.
Okay, hypothetical scenario for you. Joao Pedro plays an hour in Naples. Delap plays the final half hour. The same evening, Hugo Ekitike unfortunately gets a bit of a knock for Liverpool and he's out of the weekend. You more likely to buy Joao Pedro or Bowen?
I'd go for Joao Pedro.
Would you, Chris? That's some face that the audio listeners will never see.
It's the rotation rate, which is obviously hard with Chelsea, isn't it? But I think with those games, Pedro's probably would get the nod. I'd say because he'd probably return if he played in three of them or even sort of two and a half of them. He'd probably out return. I think he's quite streaky, isn't he? I don't know. I get that feeling he's a bit streaky. If he's as capable of getting an assist as he would be a goal, Pedro.
Okay, Bowen's ticking over. 2 DEFCONs in the last 4. It's looking good, mate.
Ironically, he's probably a better prospect now. Now he's playing on the wing. Now he's more playing on the wing because he's having to do that side of it. And then obviously there's the likelihood that he's on penalties now. Paqueta's not there.
Yes, I think we can presume that at the moment till he misses one, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Yeah.
After Chelsea is a trip to Burnley. Then
Yeah.
2 home games, Manchester United and Bournemouth. Unlike Joao Pedro, we know what we get from Bowen in terms of minutes. It's 90. It's always 90. And that might count over a period. We've got a midweek set of fixtures coming up very soon, right? Game week 26, midweek set of fixtures directly after game week 25. You would chance Joao Pedro over Bowen.
No, I don't think I would. Only because I know Bowen gets the 90 minutes actually, thinking about it. He's going to play every game. I think he's going to be more productive again. Now he's playing out wider rather than, in different positions.
I think the problem for those who want to go Bowen, he's looking across the next 8 up to the blank. And I think with Bowen, I think if you go João Pedro, you've kind of got your finger on the pulse where you might have to take him out quite quickly, it would feel like. With Bowen, you're putting him in for the consistency. It'll happen or
Yeah.
it won't. Looking at Chelsea, Liverpool, Aston Villa all away across the next 8, plus home games against Manchester United and Manchester City, makes it as a cluster for the 8 fixtures not look great. But your need is massive and he is your talisman, Chris.
Yeah, and I think there's that, his goal contributions through goals and assists, which I know isn't dissimilar to Pedro in some respects, because he scores and does assist as well. Don't know how much of a difference Palmer not being there is having on him with Pedro, whether that has much impact negatively. But yeah, it's the consistency of minutes. If he's fit, which he tends to be, touch wood, he's going to play.
Okay.
I think we're still quite reliant on him for those attacking returns. I don't know. He just seemed to be a bit more playing a bit more freer, so to say.
Well, it's probably known he's got a regular target
Yeah,
between the posts at the moment. What do you make of Tati Castellanos? It's his shirt. He's the 9 now, isn't he? It's
yeah. I
fairly
think
clear.
he will play most games. I mean, I don't know, I hope he gets a goal. He had a couple of chances, but I think he's there really for his work rate. That's kind of what wanted. He wanted someone up there who could work their back four. Um, I wouldn't say he's a target man. He's a bit of an all rounder, but he's not going to be prolific. But I think it's daft as it sounds. As much as we need goals, if he chips in with again 4 or 5 goals by the end of the season, that's good enough, more than good enough, because it's his overall contribution.
Any love for him for fantasy? It's only five and a half.
No, not really. I mean, he's not one of them sort of these players you come away thinking, how's he not scored? And you can't really recollect the chances that he got, that he had, or the positions that he got into. He's there for his work rate. That's primarily what he's there for, fancy wise. That's not.
Okay. Somerville and Fernandes, same price in midfield. Somerville, 18 points across the last 2, scored in both. Great headed goal at the weekend. And Matheus Fernandes, a goal against Sunderland, assist against Tottenham as Defcon's knocking about as well. He's got 17 across the last 2. Any like for either of those 2?
I think the price is really difficult, isn't it? I know 5 would be too cheap, but 5 would be a nicer price. But 5.5, it just makes it a little bit tricky. But I don't think there's a lot between them. The only thing I would say is Fernandes is more consistent, but Somerville was on a bit of a, if you can call it form, a relatively short spell. But his problem with Somerville has always been his end product. He hasn't had it where he seems to be at the moment. He scored 3, and it's probably given him confidence. He's got confidence. He's on a bit of a roll.
Okay. Defensively, do I need to ask you?
Yeah, don't even bother.
Ambasaka 4.1 now back.
It's you. It's I wouldn't even put if he was 0.1, I wouldn't even put him in.
I think,
And that's
you
not
would.
him. It's just our defense. Our defense has just got. There's always a mistake in there somewhere along the lines. The other team are gonna. It's very unusual for the other team not to score.
But the boys at the back do pick up Defcon when they're under a bit of pressure. They were a bit lighter at the weekend, but obviously were so dominant in that first half. But Tadibo and Mavropanos are capable of picking them up. I'm fighting a losing battle though, here, aren't I, Chris? I should just shut up and move on, shouldn't
Yeah,
I?
yeah.
Okay, fine. Robert Sanchez owners, Gary, should be concerned. Should wildcarders consider him as an easy way in, or is it
I
not
think
an easy way
wildcarders
in?
should consider him. No, I think it is. I think he's the number one. Um, the longer we stay in the FA Cup, the better it is because I'm assuming that Jurgensen will play in those games. I had him at the start of the season. It was only when a wild card had around like 16-ish or whatever. Luckily, around about the time that we turned to shit, that I took him out because he was actually pretty good before that, and he's done all right now. So I think he's a fair enough. I think we've got the third most clean sheets this season or something. He's 4.9. It's like he's
Only one since game week 16 now. And that was against Brentford, which I think you probably acknowledge was a fortuitous one, actually.
uh yeah, we did give up a few chances. Um like we did at the weekend. We gave up the one that Mateta should have scored early on, but it was Sanchez that saved that one. In fact, Sanchez made a couple of good saves against Brentford from what I remember as well. So I think he's a decent option. I like to think we'll tighten up.
It appeals, though,
Um
isn't it? Like, if you're on wild card, you want to go Chelsea at the moment.
mm,
So that appeals, knowing that. I mean, the only game he hasn't started was at Man City. Was he ill? Was he, Gary? I don't know. It was something kept him out of the game. He wasn't dropped,
yeah,
per
yeah,
se.
that's right.
If you're on wild card, what do you think you'd do finally, Gary? Chelsea players this week.
Um, I would Sanchez would really tempt me, but as you know, I am Robert Sanchez's biggest fan. Although the fans have started like appreciating him a lot more now, can see what he does. Um, Enzo, and I would probably go with Joao Pedro.
Yeah, if I was on wild card, Enzo would definitely go in. I'd have to have something.
Mm,
I think I would possibly chance it with João Pedro, knowing that that's going to maybe turn back into Thiago or Ekiteke around
yeah,
28, maybe.
yeah,
And I think I'd prefer to go Chalobah rather than Sanchez because although we look at the next four, I don't really want to be pissing about with the goalkeeper. And as we've discussed previously, the running actually, once you hit game week 28, is dreadful. You've basically got the worst run of fixtures, I would say, from 28 onwards, which obviously
well,
puts a real
because
influence
that
on these next
run
four.
that you just said, where we haven't kept one since game week 16, well, it's that run again, isn't it? It's obviously repeating at the end of the season. So all those teams that just scored against us, we're going to play them all again. Um, did, it was game week 16 must have been the Everton game then, was it? But
It was
yeah,
Everton at home, yeah.
yeah, okay. Um, but I think we're capable of going to some of
Of
these
course you
places
are.
and
And some of
like,
these games might be against teams that end up not having a lot to play for. For example, you play at Sunderland last day of the season. No one's won there yet, but they might just be sitting in 10th doing nothing. You might be going all out to finish top five. Your away games from game week 28 onwards to finish the season are Arsenal, Villa, Everton, Brighton, Liverpool, Sunderland. Home games over that period are Newcastle, Manchester City, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, and a game that you never win, Tottenham Hotspur. It's a shitty run. I mean, game week 37 is your best fixture on that. Game week 35 and 37, that's
yeah,
genuine. That's the reality. I'm not just taking the piss. Those are the two
yeah,
best fixtures
that's right.
that you have from 28 till the end of the season. The Forest at home and Tottenham at home.
Hmm.
So I don't know if I'd want
Yeah,
Sanchez for all of that. I don't want to be pissing about the goalkeeper. Whereas if I went Chalobah, I'd think, okay, there's a higher ceiling in terms of potential def cons. He is a threat from set plays as well. He chips in with the odd goal. And okay, if I don't like it once I get to 28, there are outs.
right. But then this is just one of those things that you probably pick a different goalkeeper who is also playing all those teams. They're just not playing them all in a row like we are. Like we just happen to have all of our, I'm going to have to just say easier games all at once, and then we go into all of our harder games. So, I mean, it's a goalkeeper. I think he's a fine goalkeeper to just put in, just leave him there, and he'll get you clean sheets every now and then. Sometimes it'll be when we don't expect them. And yeah, as I said to you before, this happened under Pochettino, where it looked like our season was like on the verge of dying, but we still had something to play for. And a lot of the teams that we played against didn't. And so we went on a little run and we won a lot of games 1-0 because that was what we kind of sorted out. And Rosenior might go down the same route. So
So the
actually,
most
yeah,
you tried to
shore
sell
this
me
up
a
at the
player
back.
on this podcast was actually Robert Sanchez. Cheers, mate.
You know, I'm his biggest fan, mate. So,
Christian and
oh,
wild card. Would Bowen
yeah.
go in, do you think? Or one of them 5.5 mids?
I don't think I'd put the 5.5 in, but I'd seriously consider Bowen. If I'm honest, he's it's just whatever else he does to my team. But it's that forward spot is quite difficult. But I'm on my wild card, so I think I'm having a shocker, so I wouldn't ask me for FPL advice this season.
What Chelsea do you think you'll end up with? Having listened to this,
I'll definitely have Enzo. I mean, I might end up with Sanchez because of his price. If I can't see someone else in, because I quite like Mark Gay for defender for City, because obviously he's going to play. Well, he will play the Champions League knockout stages, probably, won't he? But
Gay's going to play every game for City near enough anyway.
he was playing 2 games a week for Palace, so I don't think it'd be a problem for him. And he's relatively cheap in there.
Okay. Good luck, gents. Thank you both very much. Anything you want to plug before we finish, guys?
No,
We're doing the correct scores. Or are we doing the plugs first?
All right. Fuck the plugs. Gary, correct score prediction, Napoli away.
I think we'll probably lose, to be honest. I think we'll lose.
Good start.
2-1. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
West Ham at home, correct score prediction.
Win 2-1.
Arsenal away, League Cup semi, second leg.
I can see us taking that to extra time.
Go on, lad. Go on.
I can't just predict 3-2-1. No, why not? Yeah, 2-1 again. Chelsea win 2-1 at Arsenal. And then I can't tell you what happens after that.
You lose on penalties, wouldn't you? So predictable.
Most likely.
Chris, give us a prediction for Saturday at the Bridge, mate.
I'll go for an optimistic but unrealistic 1-0. On the basis of Chelsea's other games and ours is a priority.
This is what happens, right? Sunderland were without their best player at the weekend. Right? And this is what happens, Gary. Teams beat Tottenham and they get well ahead of yourself. Don't think you're special, mate. We lose every week. It's not a big deal, mate. I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you very much, gents. What's still to come? Ask James on Thursday when I get back from Germany from our latest instalment of a jaunt. I can tell you next week's Clash of Correspondents is another big rivalry encounter. Yeah, the rivalry. We can't call it a derby. Brighton against Crystal Palace with Sam Murray and Rory McLaughlin-Dowd. That'll be available for you. That's going to be next Friday. Other than that, just as we say, Gary, Chris, thank you, gents. Be nice to each other, everyone. Good luck, guys. Cue music, please. Man child.